All right, running backs. Guy you're higher on, and by higher, I mean a lot higher on. You're much higher on Darrell Henderson. He's going against Arizona. You got him as your RB22, 17 spots above the experts. You also like the aforementioned Cordarelle Patterson. He's going against Washington. You got him as your RB28, 7 spots above the experts.
Yeah, and Henderson, as soon as he's confirmed in, if he's confirmed in, that'll climb up in the ECR. Oftentimes early week injuries that people rank them very conservatively. But I'm just kind of showing you, as long as he's playing, this is where I'm going to have him, maybe even bump him up a couple spots. Arizona, it's been, a decent team against the run, but they haven't faced many good running backs. Henderson, McVay said in week 1, as long as this guy's rolling the way he has been, we're not taking him out of the game. And he was true to his word. He didn't get off the field until he got hurt. I don't know if that changes because he got hurt, but I don't expect it to. Henderson's got more explosiveness than Sony Michel, who did okay in spot fill-in duty, but never had any wow plays, didn't do anything like Henderson was, who was getting the goal line work, who was getting all the receiving work. I think he steps right back into that 3-down world with maybe a little bit more Michel sprinkled in, but I don't expect it much. I think you can definitely smash that start in week 4 here. And Patterson, I think he's significantly undervalued week in and week out.
I agree.
I'm going to continue to rank him as a top 30 guy every week as a definite fringe starter. Even if he's not getting it done in the run game, he's still seeing 82 yards in the receiving game. In crucial situations, he's the guy that's in over Mike Davis. He's catching screens. He's moving the chains. Arthur Smith loves him, and he's going to have a role. They're always going to be playing from behind. And when you think about Washington, how would you rather attack this team from the running back position? Right in the teeth of the defense with your fat Mike Davis running back, or get some guys in space, get Cordarelle Patterson in speed, let him do his damage there. That's how you beat this team. So I really think Patterson's going to be the higher used guy and do a lot more damage this week.
So listen, obviously the Falcons are the Falcons and anything can change. You're saying you're calling him like a fringe starter. I would say that you're almost criminally underranking this guy if you're only ranking him 27, 28. And I'm just going by his PPR numbers and ranking right now. He is the RB9, okay, in PPR, okay? As far as rushing goes, he's getting 7 carries a game. He's gotten 7 carries all 3 games. That's nothing. And he hasn't done much. One week he went for like 50. The other ones he was like 20. Okay, so not much. He did score once. But receiving, the guy's caught 13 balls.
Yeah.
He's been targeted 16 times, so he's catching everything they're throwing his way. And he's got like 160 yards receiving and a touchdown. So, he's getting like 5 and 50 receiving every game. That's 10 points. Like, right. That on top of any random touchdown or rushing, I think assuming he's going to get this workload, I think RB28 is like actually really low.
It might be too low. And you're right. And you're preaching to the choir here. I was talking about this guy at week 2. After he had a decent week 1, he led the team in rushing. I called him my Hail Mary. He was only 11% rostered at that time when we went for Hail Marys. And you were like, Cordarelle Patterson, haven't you learned your lesson by now? And Twitter was destroying me. Like, he sucks. He's ass. And here we go. And here he is as a guy that you're saying right now shouldn't even be considered fringe. And I'm agreeing with you. Like, as a receiving, it's kind of like a DeAndre Swift light. Like, he might not see a ton of carries, but he's getting so much receiving volume, it doesn't really matter. The running back.
If you're getting 10 points on the receiving end, you can wipe your ass with the running end, and you're a startable player.
Exactly.
He's averaging 16.3 a game in PPR. That's real, and that's over 3 games. I know it's not a huge sample size, but it's not nothing.
No, and he's looking good too. It's not like it's like bad points. When you watch the guy play, he's every bit as explosive as he's ever been, and he's just getting more usage now. I love him. You know what? You're right. I'm higher. I'm 7 spots higher than the ECR, and I probably need to be.
I think he deserves a couple more things, a couple more spots bumped. We'll see if he can keep it up. All right, let's talk running back. Saquon Barkley at the Saints. You got him as 18, 5 below the experts. Man, Saquon might just be a sinking ship. Myles Gaskin against Indianapolis. You got him as your RB 25, 5 below the experts.
Yeah, both fringe starters, and it's kind of – I do like what Saquon's doing.
Would you rather start Myles Gaskin than Cordarelle Patterson?
No, you're right.
You got him higher on your list, though.
Exactly. I need to update that for sure.
All right.
So with Saquon, 18 points last week, 90% of the backfield workload, like 80-something% of the snaps. He's back to Saquon role. I actually like this guy a lot after this week, but the Saints are so damn good against running backs, and he hasn't been anything close to efficient already this year. He's not going to find that efficiency at all against the Saints. They bottle up running backs with the best of them. The one thing that might help him beat this lower ranking is the receiving work. 6 for 43 and a touchdown last week, and they might have no one else to throw to, depending on what the Shepard and Slayton situation is. So that could end up bailing him out. But I'm nervous about it, more so for the matchup. And then if he does suck like I expect him to, I would actually be going in and trying to buy low as hard as I could because he's starting to regain that explosiveness. I'm intrigued by him. Myles Gaskin, meanwhile, running back 26, running back 36, running back 32 so far across his stats. Like, it hasn't been anything special. Now he gets a pretty tough matchup here against a nice Indy front seven. Why? What's he getting you? You know, like, he used to at least get the receiving work, but Jalen Waddle saw 13 targets. He's kind of become that outlet, like safety valve. They're going to him instead of going to Gaskin. And with that drained, and Malcolm Brown coming in for the touchdown work, you're looking at a classic between the 20s plotter that I have no interest in. So yeah, why is he above Patterson? No good answer for that. I'll have to adjust that for sure.
All right. Let's all take a deep breath before we get to the Hail Mary here. Now, this is the spot where last time on the show, Cordarelle Patterson was called, and we just spent 5 minutes talking about what a great call that was. But do you hear in the distance, is that Peyton Barber's music? 30% owned, Hail Mary. Yeah. Mic drop.
Exactly. And we know your hands are in the pants because nobody likes truth.
Oh, that's right. I'm keeping them below the table where nobody can see them.
I just see that camera shaking a little bit over there. Who knows what's happening? Yeah, exactly. For Peyton Barber, man. Look, I thought the guy was completely hideous and disgusting, smelled bad, looked bad, just everything, tasted bad, like nothing good about him. He put up 111 rushing yards, and 101 of them came after contact. He was bullying through people. He also caught, I think, 4 balls for 36 yards. He was the featured back. He had 26 touches. Only 5 running backs had more carries or more touches, rather, last week than this guy. So this becomes a complete throw out the window if Josh Jacobs plays. But should he not, Barber's going to get that type of workload against a bottom 10, 10th most points allowed to running backs with the Chargers. He could be a great streamer yet again because Gruden loves him. He's shockingly looked better than I expected. I think he can be started. And even if Jacobs plays, like, do they ease him in because Barber looked so good? I think that becomes a 3-headed nightmare and you couldn't trust anybody.
I think if you're look, I know there's an ongoing gag that I love Peyton Barber, but if you're even entertaining starting Peyton Barber as part of a platoon, you're just absolutely kidding yourself. Like, if he's the featured guy, okay, I'll be like, well, we saw it last week. If you're saying like, oh, maybe they'll ease this guy back in, Peyton Barber is a viable play, I completely disagree with that. I'm not sure if that's what you're saying or not.
I don't know. Yeah, if Jacobs playing, you really can't trust him. I guess what makes this a tough Hail Mary is they play on Monday night. So I don't know if we're going to have any type of clue heading into Sunday. And that makes it an even tougher guy to sit and wait for. Maybe flex and you can have like Renfro as a backup plan, which obviously is not sexy either, but it's something. It's tricky. You might even want to consider going with one of these stash and C's. I know I labeled them stash and C's, but they could also be Hail Marys this week.
All right. Well, stash and C's, you got JJ Taylor, 2% roster. We talked about him before, and or Rhamondre Stevenson at 10%, who we also talked about before. You also are mentioning Alex Collins.
Yeah. The 2 Pats games, again, just to reiterate, 18.5% target share for James White. One of those 2 guys could easily step in and get it. It might just end up being Brandon Bolden and we all throw up. My guess is JJ Taylor. In a game where they're going to be chasing points, if Taylor becomes that James White guy, he might catch 7-8 balls. So I actually sneaky like JJ Taylor. He's a guy, if you want to wait for Peyton Barber, and you might have some more news as Sunday night approaches about what Josh Jacobs' status is. I like him. And then Alex Collins was a stash and see. It's kind of like that kind of massive handcuff upside. He'd be the early down back if something happens to Carson, who did get a little bit banged up this last week. I think Collins would have that. He's the guy that everyone would go like Chuba Hubbard this week and throw 30, 40 bucks at. So if you have bench trash, you might as well just cut him, see what happens. If Carson went down, you'd be very happy that you had Collins ahead of the pack.
I know that he's supposed to be Chuba Hubbard. He's Chubba Hubbard. That sounds way, way better.
It does. I agree with you 100%.
It's like the Hubba Bubba Bubblegum. Chubba Hubbard. Yeah, I mean, I get it. To his face, I wouldn't call him something he didn't want to be called. But on this show, he's going to be Chubba Hubbard.
But he's a big fan now. He's tuned in. You're essentially saying it to his face right now.
All right. If he busts into the DMs, I'll owe him an apology. All right. The must watch and last week's must watch were Ken Henry, Aaron Jones, and Najee rebound. Yeah, there was some rebounding going on.
Well, that's what I loved about it. That's why I keep putting it in. When I say last week, it was 2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks ago, right? But there was some rebounding.
There was like these must watches, these Hail Marys. We were on fire with the running back position,
right?
And yeah, this week, who, if anyone, is the 49ers running back?
Who do you think?
I my guess would be Eli Mitchell. He looked better so far than Sermon, who didn't do much. But at the end of the day, I don't really know. Like, who can ever know? And it might end up being a gross committee. I mean, they had Kyle Juszczyk involved with like 40% of the touches.
Todd Gurley?
Yeah. Todd Gurley. Is that actually a rumor happening right now?
I just started it right now on the show.
So you heard it here first, Gurley to the 49ers, baby. Workhorse back. I really think the answer to this backfield is going to end up being Jeff Wilson. If people don't have him stashed yet, he's only 19% rostered. He can go in your IR if you do IR things. Even if you don't, I think you should own this guy. He was the leading rusher last year, 10 touchdowns last year, was 10th in the NFL. And that beautiful stretch run we talk about, the Texans, the Tennessee Titans, and the Falcons, beautiful stretch run. He was a league winner last year down the stretch. I really think he could line up. He had 30 points in week 16. This guy has legit NFL talent and legit NFL upside. And we're just seeing everyone else crap themselves or get hurt in this backfield. You
know what I think the key to the 49ers backfield is going to be? Trey Lance.
Well could be as well. But you know how that's even like the mobile quarterbacks open the most absurd cutback lanes. It's true. When the preseason was happening, Mostert had that like 70-yard just monster, opening. The Red Sea parted for him. So, yes, Trey Lance will definitely take some volume, but he'll also create unbelievable situations.
Did you see how easily he walked into the end zone when they set him up? It was like he didn't even run, really, and he just was in the end zone pretty much untouched.
And you're sitting here saying you might want to cut this guy. Come on, Nat. Don't do it.
I have a really, really good quarterback.
I understand that.
But what you said about keeping him out of someone else's hands, that spoke to me.
Yeah, exactly. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.